Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. Poor standards of personal hygiene during a something hit the fan scenario will be a major cause of infection, illness and death. So the question is, are you prepared enough to maintain personal hygiene standards when something hits the fan? A few of you will have seen my little storeroom in previous videos. I'm just taking the chance to do a quick inventory on hygiene items. I have a store in my storeroom for long term, and also I've got a working store actually down in the bathroom for hygiene products. So between the two, not the easiest of tasks since I'm in the roof space, but it's just something that I need to keep on top of, make sure I know exactly what I've got, and then any gaps just top up as and when. Okay, so here we are in the kitchen rather than the cabin. I don't know whether to call this a lessons learned video or whether to just put it out as a regular video. I have no clue. It was prompted because I was just going through my long-term preps in the hygiene department. Weekend will be here before I know it, and I just need to know if there's anything I need to top up as I rotate out stocks. Good thing with hygiene stuff really is it does last pretty much indefinitely. There's not a lot of stuff goes off to the point where it's unusable. Certainly if it's kept in its original containers anyway. But I still try and do that. For some bizarre reason I noticed a couple of years ago, I hadn't realised, but I noticed a couple of years ago that toothpaste actually had an expiry date on. I must admit, before everyone goes into a blind panic and starts checking the toothpaste, it's not on every tube or the box that the tube comes in. But somebody just mentioned it randomly. There was an offer on in the shop, reduced price toothpaste, and that person just happened to say, I bet it's expired, check the date. And I thought they were joking, and sure enough on that particular box there was a date. So yeah, off topic there slightly, but yeah, I'm just topping up, or I will be topping up at the weekend. I've done a little stock take, so I thought I'd take the time to just make a little video on the subject. Starting off, bear with me on this, with some perhaps random items, but I wanted to get the random stuff out of the way because I don't know how many people actually prep this kind of thing. They will definitely prep the more traditional spring to mind items that I'll touch on later. So I thought I'd start with this. Whatever the crisis, whether it's a short-term crisis like we've experienced with COVID-19, where there's supply chain disruption that eventually comes back, or whether drastically it's more real in your face, long-term grid down or total collapse type scenario, you are going to need these products for sure. First thing that springs to mind is you're going to have to keep washing your clothes. Now for me, I wouldn't call this a hole in my preps. I've probably got a good 8 or 9 months, perhaps even getting on towards a year, of detergent, wash powder for clothes. So I'm okay with that. You can have your grid go down as much as you like, and I will get by for sure when it comes to washing clothes, particularly since there's only me. I don't have a big family to worry about. So yeah, I've got loads of bottles of this under the kitchen sink, and every now and again I'll just top up you might notice actually, price-wise, detergents do keep going up. You would have thought that they would be pretty stable, but price-wise they're not. Fortunately, where I do my bulk of my shopping, UK viewers might recognise this, it's from Aldi. The price of detergent is still, what I would say, cheap. So yeah, you're going to have to still wash your clothes. And kind of tied into that, though again, a little bit off topic, have a little think about how you would wash your clothes in a grid down scenario. If you're at home, not such a big deal. You can just fill the bath and do it by hand. If you're going off grid or starting a homestead, such as my cabin down on the field, not quite so easy. And it is a hole in my preps that I haven't quite, apart from getting a huge bucket of course, I haven't quite found a sustainable and fairly painless solution for washing clothes. So there we go. Starter for 10. How's your detergent stockpile? Kind of connected, cleaning the house. That's certainly cropped up during COVID, and things like this, disinfectant spray, particularly anything that says kills 99% germs, that along with your bleach, very quickly the shelves were emptied when the COVID crisis hit back in March. And indeed bleach still isn't, I would say, back to where it was, because I think people are still kind of panic buying that. Well, as they are with anything that says disinfectant on it. I have noticed as well, since coronavirus, the big companies never miss a trick. This one doesn't have it on, it just says kills 99% of germs. But I've noticed a lot recently that actually go to the time and trouble of having labels printed up that specifically says including coronavirus. You've got to hand it to big business. The marketing guys are pretty smart. So general household cleaning products, so your bleach type sprays, your disinfectant sprays, traditional bleach, all of those things. How much have you got? In terms of myself, bleach, yes, bucketfuls. Your kitchen sprays, yes, I've probably got a good 5-6 months supply of that. More traditional disinfectant, not so much, I have to say, because I don't use it a great deal. It's more, that is not your bathroom kitchen cleaner, that's more for going around cleaning your living room and bedroom and things like that. So yeah, have a think, how much of that have you got? Doing the dishes, the pots, pans and plates. Again, like the detergent, I have got so much of this, it really isn't funny. And it is still cheap, so I do keep buying it. Loads of bottles of that, I would guess over a year, underneath my kitchen sink of that. And of course you're going to need your rags, spongy, scratchy pan type things to go along with that as well. Kind of connected with cleaning and doing the dishes and things like that is disposal. So different kinds of plastic bags, your big heavy duty garbage sacks, your bin liner bags, your food wrap bags, all of those kinds of things you are going to need. And definitely in a grid down scenario, when the waste disposal people aren't going to be coming round emptying your bins, you're going to need an awful lot more of those. And kind of connected to that, a way of disposing of that garbage, refuse, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, again, I have lots of these on hand and in store, so I'm not too worried. How about you? What have you got stored away? Now, as I begin to lose my voice, not coronavirus, I assure you, I'll just grab a quick swig of my coffee. Bit random this. but something that I do have experience of, being ex-military. Personal hygiene isn't just about cleaning your teeth, washing your hair. It's about general condition of your body and your ability to continue to function. And with that in mind, just wanted to make a particular point of mentioning footwear. Things like insoles, whether that's the deodorizing ones to get rid of your feet smell, or in my case, these nice spongy ones to go in the bottom of your boot or shoe, just to keep you comfortable and stop you having any problems with chafing or corns or bunions or whatever. Tied into that, foot softening lotion. If you suffer from chilblains, chilblain cream, and don't neglect your actual boots and shoes themselves. So, random as it might seem, shoe polish and perhaps waterproofing spray, whether that's for clothes, your tent or your boots. Being ex-military, I will I know all about the importance of keeping your footwear clean and waterproofed. I won't bore you with the war story, but let's just say lots of British soldiers had major issues with their feet back in 1982. And we'll leave it at that. So yeah, don't neglect your feet and your footwear. Make sure that they are comfortable, they are durable and waterproof. It is important. I did say there were some random things in here. Better to get them out the way now, and you can busy make your list while you cruise through the remainder and go, yeah, got that, got that, got that, got that. You might not have considered some of these items. A couple of late items connected with footwear, but clothing in general, socks and underwear. How many of those have you got stored away? Your more outer garment type clothing lasts for years and years and years, as long as you take care of it. But things like socks, underpants, perhaps t-shirts, things that are in close contact with the body, are going to get hot and sweaty. You can wash them as much as you like, but eventually they will break down. So maybe it's worthwhile just having a little count up. How many pairs of socks and underpants do you have? And would that sustain you in a grid down scenario? Very last one, I promise, on this little random section. It is connected with hygiene, but it's also connected with general prepping and survivability. Water purification tablets. Just thought I'd throw that in. It's not your more traditional hygiene things, but it is something to consider. Hygiene of your water supply is pretty paramount. This is one of your 3 essential must-haves: water. So yeah, water purification tablets or some system of sterilising. If you've got plain old bleach, non-perfumed or treated, just regular raw bleach, you can use that as long as you dilute it correctly. But I have lots of these purity tabs because they're just convenient. You know exactly what the dosage is. 1 tablet, 1 litre of water, give it a shake, away you go. So, starting off on this hygiene video, some more random items, but they are items that you really do need and will need in a grid down scenario. And as I say, perhaps out of those, there's a few there that you hadn't really considered in your hygiene preps. Or maybe I'm wrong and you've all got it tied down, who knows. Anyway, I'll clear this little bit away and move on to the next section. Okay, and we're back with a vast array of different things. Essentially, I've just grabbed a selection of the more common things that I prep, and as with the start of the video, I'll end with a few more random things, again, just to get you thinking if you're already on top of the basics. Let's start off with the world famous now, since coronavirus, toilet rolls. I can't help laughing every time I say that now, or anybody says toilet rolls. It's just ridiculous with COVID-19, how the most essential thing you can have in your home to survive the pandemic is bloody toilet roll. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, toilet roll, yes, you will definitely need that, along with a selection of other paper products, so your tissue papers, a good substitute for toilet roll, particularly if you're on the move, wet wipes, so you're cleaning thoroughly as you go along, and also as a backup if you don't have access to just soap and water. If you're on the move, you can take these out and you can just clean down hands, body, wherever with those. And then I have lots of these Q-tips, cotton buds, whatever you want to call them. To be honest, apart from the odd clean out of the ear here and there, which I know some people say you should never do, the biggest use I have for these, believe it or not, is cleaning my firearms. They're excellent for getting into those hard to reach places where my stubby fingers can't go, and for applying oils and grease. So don't overlook cotton buds. It's not just for personal hygiene. They have 1,001 different uses. So yeah, paper products, you're definitely going to need those. And whilst on the subject of paper products, particularly toilet roll, don't neglect the actual how you're going to go to the toilet in a grid down scenario as well. I've touched on this in a few videos, including recently. I did a cabin talk, I think it was, cabin talk, lessons learned, I can't remember now. But I did mention sanitation, toilets, in a recent video, whether that's your chemical toilet, your composting toilet, your bag in a bucket toilet. Think about how you're going to use the toilet in a grid down scenario, and how you're going to get rid of that waste, deal with that waste afterwards. In a proper grid down scenario, personal hygiene, particularly toilets, is probably going to be the second biggest killer after the event itself, whether that's a tsunami, an earthquake, a hurricane going through, World War III, a pandemic. Once the population, the initial kill has happened due to the event itself, you start then a slow decline as the grid collapses, and the number one killer will be lack of personal hygiene. So it is an important subject. Don't neglect hygiene, and particularly don't neglect sanitation going to the loo. So a variety of different paper or cotton products there. You might also want to think about the ladies in the family, so feminine hygiene products as well. Children, toddlers, nappies, diapers, whatever you want to call them. And indeed, for some of the dependent senior citizens or disabled out there, the things like incontinence pads. I know it's a scruffy subject, but if you don't think about it now, you might well wish later that you had thought about it in advance, because it is a major subject. So toilets, paper products, and associated female or dependent or infant paper products connected with sanitation. Trying not to block a camera view. Moving swiftly on, let's dive into some of the more basics. So we've got a selection here of body cleansing products. Please, in the world of shower gels, of which I have well in excess of a year's supply, I use these because clearly I don't need shampoo. So it's an all-in-one. One bottle, one hit for everywhere on the body. If you're not able to use the all-in-one shower gel and you need shampoos, then do think about shampoos, conditioners. I know you ladies out there, you would struggle, I think, without your hair care products. So don't just stop at shower gel, I guess. See how much you've got. More importantly, see how much you use on a given week or monthly basis, and then try and stock up as much as you can. Linked in with that, you've got your traditional hand soap. Indeed, there it is on the kitchen windowsill, and there's another one in the bathroom. So hand soaps, I have lots of those. With the advent of coronavirus, this has gone completely off the shelves. This is antibacterial hand wash. I do have specific hand gel as well, where I'm not actually physically washing my hands. But I'm trying to stay away from COVID. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but COVID is COVID. If you can get hand sanitising gel so you're not having to use a sink to wash your hands, do that. I've got a couple in my bag, my car, and in the drawer of my desk at work. But we're talking about long-term prepping, not specific to coronavirus. So whatever product you use to wash your hands, body, hair, etc., do stock up on those. Along with, if you use it, deodorant. Unless I'm going to the pub, generally I don't. I'm quite lucky. I don't have any issues, shall we say, in that department. But what I do want to specifically hone in on is the traditional bar soap. I've got, I don't know how many, it must be getting quite close to a year supply of this. It's just, it lasts forever. It's so versatile. It's not liquid, so when you pack it into your long-term storage boxes or bins, you know it's not going to leak. And you can use it for washing your clothes, right, if you don't have access to normal detergents. So bar soap, it might be a bit of an old-fashioned thing for some people, but don't ignore it. I've had this particular, I've got loads of these in my previous life when I travelled around a lot. Some of the better quality hotels, they produced these every single day without fail, and they gave you a new bar of soap. I actually took soap with me in my travel bag, so I didn't need it. So all of those packets of soap over several years have all stockpiled, along with some of the more traditional barred soaps. So barred soap, don't ignore that. Swiftly on, men predominantly, but ladies too, do shave. So shaving gel, I've got in excess of a year's supply of that. I've got, oh God, I don't know how many years supply of razors. I use these, they're not disposable, they're reusable. The handles are, you just change the blade. The single-use ones I really struggle with. They just irritate my skin. I guess I'm too sensitive. But these, I try and get the same brand every time. Razor blades are phenomenally expensive for what they are. So I do keep an eye out in some of the cheaper discount stores, which is actually where these come from. And I've tried numerous brands from the high-end Gillette, Wilkinson Sword. Others are available. But I've found a brand in the discount stores that work equally well as the high-end brand. So give it a go, ladies and gents. Don't just fall for the advertising millions of these bigger corporations. I only bought this because it's on offer. Just do a test. Go to your local discount store if you're not already doing it. Get some cheapy razor blades. find one that works for you and buy loads of them. I've got years, literally years worth of these. Again, that's something that came from my extensive travel history in lots of countries overseas. These are difficult to get hold of because in lots of countries overseas the men don't shave, nor do the ladies actually. So yeah, razor blades. If you can cope with growing a beard in a grid down scenario, kudos to you. Personally, I'm going to hang out as long as I can and keep shaving. So as a result, I've got millions and millions of these kicking around. So yeah, shaving products. I will revisit that subject towards the end. Next on the agenda, oral hygiene. As it happens, I use an electric toothbrush, so I have a stockpile of the replacement heads. Having said that, who knows how long my rechargeable battery toothbrush is going to hold out in a grid down scenario. So as a backup, I've got lots of packs of toothbrushes, and I still have a few out in the bathroom actually, because from time to time I'll get the odd visitor who forgets the toothbrush. So I always have a load of these spare on hand, but there's lots packed away, and equally lots of the electric replacement heads stacked away. Connected in with that, obviously, toothpaste. I've got well in excess of a year. I'm probably heading towards 2 years of toothpaste. And then connected in with that, if you use it, mouthwash. When I was overseas, I used to use this a lot. Water quality wasn't great. There were no chemicals added to it, as there are in the UK and more Western countries. I don't actually use this routinely, but I do have a lot stored away just in case something does hit the fan, and I have a feeling that I might need that. Again, connected to that, if you use it, floss, or alternatively these little brushes that go in between the gaps in your teeth. Lots of those on hand as well. And kind of tied into that, I don't want to stray too far into the realms of medical, but emergency filling replacement. From time to time you'll see these in the discount stores. I mean, these things aren't cheap, but from time to time in the discount stores you will see these pop up on the shelves, and if you do, grab them, because as I say, I don't want to stray too far into first aid products, but since we're talking about oral hygiene, get some of these. Fillings that drop out or crowns that come loose, you're heading into disaster territory if you haven't got access to dental treatment. So anything you can do to try and resolve that issue, please do it. Again, in a previous life overseas, I've had issues with my teeth, and dental treatment hasn't always been readily available, and some of it although it's available, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. So yeah, I'm always nervous about things like fillings or broken teeth, so I do stock lots of emergency treatment. Well, we're heading towards the end. I did say as I started, I would end on some of the more random products. I've kind of touched on these already. Comes under the body care and body wash, I suppose. Things like moisturising cream and foot softening cream if you suffer from hard skin on your feet. If you don't now, in a grid down scenario, particularly if you're having to move or work outside extensively, you are going to need this stuff, I promise you. So don't be shy, don't be too manly about it, just get some. And then when something disaster strikes and you find that you need to use it, you can thank me then. A few other little bits and pieces here. Personal grooming, so connected with feet. I've got a few of these little hard skin files, rasps, whatever you want to call them. I've got a few of those set away. I've got one in the bathroom for just normal, well, it's not day-to-day use, week, 2 month use. So have a little think about that if it's not something that you've already got or thought of. Same thing, these little nail files and nail clippers. You're definitely going to need them if you don't have them already. The beauty salons and pedicure and nail bars are not going to be open, guys and girls, so you're going to have to fend for yourself, I'm afraid. So get some of those. Chopsticks, definitely outdoors, particularly winter time, you're going to need some of those. So they're very, very cheap. Just get a load and put them away to one side. You'll have noticed I don't have that much hair. I actually don't go to the hairdressers, the barber's shop. I just do it myself with these hair trimmers. Hair just doesn't grow on your head, guys and girls. It grows elsewhere in your body, and the more of it you have, the more of this stuff you're going to need to make sure that you're taking care of your personal hygiene. These aren't that expensive. If you go to the discount stores, you can pick these up for, I don't know, £4-5, something like that. So what's that, $7 or $8, I don't know. Rechargeable batteries. They are, look, rechargeable. Because you're going to be off grid. So yeah, if you haven't thought of that, it's maybe worth just putting one of those aside. There ain't going to be any fashion parades when the crisis hits, I promise you. So the more you can fend for yourself, the better. And as I said, hair doesn't just grow on your head, it grows elsewhere as well. Last but not least, something you might not have thought of, birth control or infection control, whichever way you look at it. It's maybe worth thinking about. Equally, they're not just for that use. They actually have a whole host of uses. You just need to expand your mind a little bit as to what you can use them for, because they are going to be waterproof at the end of the day. So there we are. We'll end on that totally random note. I mean, the subject is so huge, it's impossible to cover every single aspect. As I say, I've stayed away from COVID and I've stayed away from first aid, which that's a whole different subject on its own. Personal hygiene, have a little think about some of the stuff that I've mentioned. Have a little think about how much of it you've got, or if you do need it, or if indeed there are alternatives out there, because for a lot of this stuff there might well be alternatives out there. But it never hurts to go through a subject like this. It acts as a bit of a prompt for people. They can go, oh yeah, actually I don't have that, I never thought about it, or actually I don't have a lot of that, and the more I think about it, the more I ought to have a lot of that, so I'll top up on my next shopping, which is exactly what I do. So hopefully that's of use to you. I'm sure there'll be lots of comments in the comment section, but don't neglect this particular aspect. As I said earlier, in a proper grid down crisis scenario, after the kill of the initial event itself, the next best, sorry, it isn't the next best, the next biggest killer will be hygiene and sanitation. That's going to cull an awful lot of people in a proper grid down scenario. Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Was that video thought-provoking? Is there anything that I missed out of my list of prepped items? Do let me know in the comments section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.